about the diaspora, we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. But I want us to concentrate on the good, but we'll talk a bit about the bad. So yes, we know that sometimes you get bad stories. Nigeria is in prison, Nigeria is doing drugs, 419, but that is not who we are. But bad news travels fast. But I tell you, if one Nigerian commits a crime, I can give you 10,000 that are doing great things. So how do we celebrate those 10,000 and not focus on the one? It again is a challenge to all of us to ensure that we celebrate ourselves and bring out the best in all of us as diaspora, wherever we find ourselves. Now, because of the enormous benefits, because of the enormous advantages of the diaspora, and because there's the need to tap into these enormous resources, the federal government of Nigeria decided to set up a diaspora commission, for which I was the pioneer, I'm the pioneer chairman. And by the way, I'm proud to be the first woman to mount this podium. Thank you very much, ABUAD, for making that happen. So now we have a diaspora commission. We are about 5 years old, and some of our people are here. We're just about 5 years old. But within the 5 years, we've realized the need to ensure that diaspora issues are put on the front burner. One of the things we did is, number one, have engagements, town halls. So even the president, when he travels, he meets with them. We have the Diaspora Day, July 25, every year, when they all come together and celebrate. We have the Diaspora Investment Summit, where they come together and see what they can contribute. We are building a data portal, and we'd like to partner with your institution on the data portal, because I know there's so much you can do with your institution. Now, we also have quite a number of activities which, I've put in the presentation that I'm giving. And hopefully we can harness these enormous diaspora contributions. But who is the diaspora? We define the diaspora as somebody who is living legally in another man's country, pays tax, and has an address. So let's just get that clear. But however, even if you're not doing that, you get into trouble, we have to help you out. Just as I was coming here yesterday, there were about 16 girls traveled to Ghana, and we just returned back from Ghana. And I think in the last 3 months, we've brought back almost 200 young girls between 15 to 18 that were trafficked to Ghana and other countries. I mean, it's pathetic when you see these girls. And then you find out, what are you looking for? Why is there no awareness of the dangers of illegal migration? Libya, I don't know whether you saw a viral video some time ago of people begging to bring us from Libya. We have been inside Libya detention centers. That is the most horrible sight I've seen in my life. Because we wanted to bring Nigerians back, we went into Libya, we went inside the detention centers, and these young Nigerians were packed together like sardines, on top of one another. And I remember one girl, she held my leg. She had to speak in pidgin, and she said to me, "Auntie, please ensure you take us away from here. Because they knew you were coming, they got me pregnant, they took something inside me as you see me, I'm bleeding, and she was bleeding. So they took something into her, she was bleeding, so that we won't see the baby. But of course we brought them back. But guess what? They are still returning. So these are things we need to look at. Why still return to such a seeking hope and hopelessness? Which still comes back to our country. What can we do to ensure that government does what it has to do? Jobs have to be available, but at the same time, it's important to create awareness. You don't need to go to these places. You're looking for work, but you get there and you die. In Canada, I went to refugee homes, shelter homes. These are very sad sights. I saw Nigerians, again, in the cold, nowhere to stay, and one person died in that cold. So is it worth going to another country, raise your hand and say, oh, I'm a refugee, and they're not going to give you anywhere? So we have the bad side of these whole things. And there are many stories we could tell. Or is it from South Africa, from wherever there are problems? One thing is clear, we try to intervene for our people in the diaspora. So yes, we have the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's important to have diaspora contributions, engagements for national development. It's very germane for our country, both at home and in the diaspora. We have to join hands to develop Nigeria. And that's where I want us to have this conversation. How come when we leave this country, and I'm talking to you, the students, when we go abroad, we are the best. We stay on the queue. We obey the rules. But once we get back to our country, we are not the same anymore. Do you know why? You hear them say that. So what is the problem? Is it because there are no sanctions? Is it because there's no law and order? It's a conversation I think should be had in institutions, because we see that happening a lot. How come the best doctors in the world are Nigerians? How come the best physicians in the world are Nigerians? How come the best anything educationists in the world are Nigerians, but the state of our institutions are the way they are? What really is the problem? And what can we do about it? How come we do not celebrate the best and the brightest? How come you have people that are so talented, but they don't get to the very top? But then when they go abroad, we start celebrating them as excelling in the diaspora. What really is the problem? And what can be done about it? How questions and answers will come from this. So, how come, as a nation, we're not tapping into the human capital development that we have as Nigerians anywhere in the world? The role of government is the role of government. Provide infrastructure, provide an enabling environment, and all that. But the role of the people is also there. So what do we do to ensure that these resources come back home? Now, like I said, I've done a lot of traveling. The truth is, home will always be home. But what kind of home do we want to come back to? What kind of home do we want to build? That is the challenge that I pose for our diaspora brothers and sisters. And I'm telling you, none of them want to come back. When they'll tell me, no light, insecurity. We are here. This is our Babala University. There was no light. I don't think you have 24-hour light for kids here. But you set this up. So if you wait for everything to be perfect before we join hands to build our country, they'll wait forever. So how do we encourage the diaspora to come back home and do what they can? And we tell them, you don't have to pack your bags and come home, but be part of the progress and development of your country. America has built America. India has built India. China is building China. Only Nigerians will build Nigeria. And Nigerians at home need to work with Nigerians in the diaspora to ensure that it happens. Now when some of them come back, they get rejected. There was a particular university, I don't have to mention the name, this lady came with huge medical equipment, she was rejected. Guess what, she took it to Ghana. So how do we encourage our diaspora not to be discouraged? So we have said there should be things like tax incentives because we must have a diaspora direct investment right here in Nigeria. So really the issue of diaspora for national engagement is something that should be on the front burner, and I hope that your institute will also have a course for diaspora studies as we have at the University of Ibadan, because it's something that should be studied, it's something that should be on the front burner, and it's something that should be encouraged. Because as I speak with you today, those Nigerians in the diaspora also they want to vote, and I believe the National Assembly should make it possible for them to be able to vote. So if our people go abroad and excel and become the very best, and they can't do that here, there's a big problem. What do I think we should do as a country? Number one is, we need to shun nepotism, we need to shun tribal bigotry and religious bigotry. We have to see ourselves as one Nigeria. We can't keep saying, is your ethnic group, and then, use that to solve things. We need to ensure that we see ourselves as one Nigeria. And if we ourselves as one Nigeria, we can build this country together. And I believe that you, the younger ones, the lessons you have learned in your university, a lot can be done through you. Because I'm not sure about this generation anymore, but I believe that so much you can do. It is important to also discourage irregular migration. We can't keep having people, you can't stop migration, regular or irregular, but we can't keep having people just go and die in the desert. So how do we stop irregular migration, at least reduce irregular migration? It's very, very important. Now, Japa. We are not saying don't japa, but we're saying that when you do japa to a better place. Japa to become a better person. Not japa to frustrate yourself. But I'm glad that people are beginning to japa now. And I hope that, we encourage them. So for the young people in the hall, by the time you're done with your education here, if you get a job abroad, I'm sure you'll take it. But be careful where you're going to. I deal with many cases of, even students in Canada, as I speak with you, there's a woman who's been looking for her son for the past 4 years. Nobody can find him. He was just 17 when he went. Nobody can find him. There's a case in England that we're dealing with now about a young 16-year-old boy who's very pathetic. So we have many pathetic cases. Even if you are going, know where you're going to. And what we are doing is some of those countries, there are help desks and helplines that you can talk to when you get there. And for women in particular, it's not an easy way to travel. You get frustrated, you get discouraged, but you can't give up. You can't give up. You have to ensure that you have a principle that guides you. And for me, my guiding principle is that success is not about age. It's not about character. It's not about how much money you have in your account, but it's about how many lives you are able to touch. Ariam Babalala, you are touching lives with this beautiful, magnificent institution that you have here. And I hope that we all can, one way or the other, touch lives, not because of money. It's not about money, it's about vision. So we need visionary leadership that I guess is lacking in most spheres in Nigeria today. Executive, judiciary, legislature. So the way forward, I believe that every one of us has a stake. Nigerians at home have to work with Nigerians in the diaspora to build this great country of ours. Otherwise, I don't know what's going to happen. You see other countries that you see like, what is going on? Are they doing better or not? But we have the best, which is human capacity. Nigerians at home and Nigerians in the diaspora. And I'm appealing to all of you, we can do it together. And I also appeal to the institution that we want to work with you for diaspora engagement, so that these brothers and sisters can do a lot of things back home as they've done in other parts of the world. India diaspora changed India. Irish diaspora changed Ireland. The Brazilian diaspora, Israeli diaspora, the Chinese diaspora, the Nigerian diaspora should not be different.
Nigeria is a better place than America. When in 1960s I was still in England, I was about to take my exam for the bar. There was independence celebrated in Nigeria and also celebrated in England by those of us who were there. I went to England with British passport. There was no Nigerian passport. Then the embassy came to us and addressed us that you can now change your passport to Nigerian passport. That means that's the end of British passport. Many of my friends said Nigerian passport as inferior to British passport, and they remained there after finishing. Most of them are dead, we know now. None of them came back to see this country. But I made up my mind. I do not want to change my passport from Nigerian passport to British passport. I'm going back home. And I did. None of those my friend was able to put up a building of his own in Nigeria. The way of living is different from our own. We work all right, we paid all right. We have facilities, places free, water free, everything free. In front of your house there's a bus, take you wherever you want to go to, don't take that. If it's not beside, go to the next tube station, there's a train there. They were enjoying life the way they saw it. They said, no, I'm going back to Nigeria. We will practice not in Nigeria. I will succeed in Nigeria and start the change Nigeria. Today, I thank God we are changing Nigeria.
And I'll end on the note of a Yoruba proverb that says, no matter how far a river flows, it can never, ever cut off from the source. May the Almighty God not allow us to cut off from our source. And thank you very much for this lecture, and I hope that through you, we can solve our problems, work together, and build this beautiful new country of ours. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Thank you.
People of the Fountain.